stream is playing nice now. Okay, we can kick off the show. What is going on, everyone? And as always, welcome to the Xbox Roundtable Podcast. This is show number 211. It's January 16th, and I'm your host, Invader. And you know what? It's very chilly here where I am at my end, and I'm waiting to get battered by a huge snowstorm. You know, typical weather here, but, you know, still. So me and MLD are going to have to break out the snow shovels here in Ontario, but alas, that's what it is. Gotta love it. Anyways, we got a great show lined up for you, though. The Xbox One has officially been announced as discontinued. While the Series X consoles, apparently they're doing very well. They've been killing it. We will dive into that, touch on both of those. Stalker 2 is getting delayed. We will certainly touch on that. All this and certainly more. But first, let me introduce the panel members for the night. Timmy Bud, how you been?
Good. I'm at my mom's right now. Just dealing with the snow and the weather as well. But we'll have a good show, some stuff to catch up on, and we'll have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, well said, Bud. There is certainly a lot on the docket. Moving on down the list here, Centurion Buddy, how's things going in the desert?
It's going pretty good, man. It's the desert, you know. It's why everybody moves here. I'm enjoying the cool weather while we have it, and then when summertime rolls around, we all climb back in our homes like hermits and just wait for the heat to go away. But right now it's actually pretty good. Nothing like you guys though, but like I was telling you, I miss the snow. I wish I could actually experience what'd you say? It was 10 inches of snow.
Well, what is it like? I think we're expecting like 20 to 25 centimeters. So I'm not 100% sure like how that's like converted to inches, but it's something like what, eight or nine, something along those lines.
10 to 12. Yeah, it's gonna be a big one.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. Like I was.
Well, I guess you guys will have some time to sit inside and play some games.
Pretty much. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not going outside.
I have to.
I'll shovel Tuesday.
I gotta work, so I'm stuck. Oh man, it's gonna be fun driving in the snow with my Mustang. Good thing I got snow tires on that sucker though, so I'm not too worried. But hopefully the plows.
Just floor it, drift the car, man.
Hey man, those things will fishtail like anything. So it's a good thing I got a couple of bricks in the back just to keep it a little balanced, anyways. But yeah, no, it's great to have you here as usual, Centurion. Let's see, moving on down the list here. MLD Buddy. Hey, what's going on? How's things at your end?
Hey, yeah, it's a pretty good week. Just trying to knock off the backlog. Almost done San Andreas on Game Pass. Also playing Resident Evil 3 on the side. Both pretty good games. But yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, Xbox is certainly giving us a lot to talk about this week. Can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, man, of course. And let's see. I thought I saw Shockley pop in. I'm not sure if he's exactly here. Eric?
Yeah, I'm in.
Oh, okay. All right, I wasn't sure. Didn't see it highlighted there. How you been, pal?
No, pretty good. Just been hasn't been much game. I've been waiting for this new Halo. Did the Samurai challenge, and then I think they have this like cool neon cyberpunk thing. Like I think it's starting this week, but just been waiting for that to start. But yeah, just haven't been doing much. Just been collecting some more 4K Blu-rays. I noticed I need to get an actual 4K player because these players in the PS5 and the Series X just aren't cutting it. Like since they don't have Dolby Vision, it's okay for a lot of them, but then there's some movies where it's like you're watching an HDR10 and everybody looks like a freaking tomato because it like tries to make everybody this orange color, and you go back to Dolby Vision like streaming through your streaming apps and it looks way better because it's actually the correct color grade. So I was like, I need to they're getting pretty low, so they're actually getting reasonable prices now for some pretty good actual 4K players if you're looking for them. So yeah, I think I'm in the market, but I haven't been doing much other than collecting some movies recently and just waiting for this new Halo week event to start.
Yeah, I gotta get in on that. Yeah, wasn't it you that posted on Twitter? What was it? That movie Sunshine, I believe it was. You were going on about that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
I
like
love,
that movie. I like it.
especially for its time. Like the special effects still like hold up in that movie. That's still one of my favorite like science fiction, and that cast is ridiculous. Especially if I watch people watch it now, and they're like, "Wait, all these people are in this movie?" Because now those a lot of those people have gone on to like have like substantial careers. But yeah, that one's pretty dope. I did find it for cheap. That one's not an easy one to find either.
No.
Got it for $15 because some people are trying to haggle you for like 40 or 50 because there's like not many being sold. So I was like, sweet 15, take it.
Hey man, take it where you can get it. But yeah, always look for that deal. I got the DVD for that. I gotta rewatch it now that I think about it because it has been on my mind.
Mhm.
I definitely did want to watch it. But yeah, good movie overall. But yeah, guys. Before we head into the topics, just a reminder to like the video. We're just starting out here. Make sure to share this out across social media. And what's up to the channel and hit the notifications just in case YouTube isn't reminding you. YouTube's kind of crappy like that. So definitely hit the bell to get notified when the show goes live. Okay, well, on that note, fellas, we will get into our first topic tonight. And you know what? We got a few Xbox console related news to go over. And according to some reports, the Xbox Series consoles, they're doing very, very well. Xbox head Phil Spencer came out and stated the new consoles are doing well. I think he even said that the consoles are outpacing the sales of all the previous Xbox consoles, which, I mean, let's be honest, that's pretty impressive. Tim Bud, I mean, it sounds like Xbox so far, this gen is doing quite well despite the various supply shortages. What are your thoughts on this and like some of the numbers coming out about the series consoles?
Well, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised that they did as well as they did. For myself, I've been asking about numbers internally, and I'm kind of getting the feeling that they're not content, even though that they're doing so well. They are looking to really press ahead. So, for me, I was going into it didn't think it was that good, but indeed they are doing really good. 12 million consoles. It looks like Z Huge and a couple of others. John Welfare confirms. So yeah, it's a really big thing that they hit it, and I'm just excited that they're looking to even press forward. And this generation looked to be a slam dunk for Sony. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. I do think that they will be the league leader, they will have the most consoles sold comparatively to Xbox. But I don't think it's going to be a 2-to-1 deal anymore. I think it's going to be more of a 100,000 to 75 million, 100 million to 100 to 75 million. And if you consider everything that Xbox is doing with Steam and the way they're allocating the cloud, that is a big win for them. So huge thing that they're doing this well, and also it means that they're going to be even more aggressive. So you even see this month with Game Pass, and we'll go through some of this stuff. They're being super aggressive, but what I can tell you from the feelings within Redmond, I feel that they're not content. They usually would be high fiving and doing like wow at this point, but they're not. They're like, we want more, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we saw these kind of numbers get, these speculated numbers about the total shipped. I can't see what Daniel Amadzi Huge there said because unfortunately he blocked me. I don't know why. He just kind of went on a mass block spree a couple of years ago. Please unblock me, man. I did nothing. But yeah, I mean the estimated 12 million shipped. I mean, you look at the numbers too. I mean, back in September, it was something like 6.7 was shipped. So, I mean, the numbers are coming in pretty strong. I don't know about sold, but otherwise, I mean, it looks like everything is going pretty healthy. And then you look at this dual console strategy that Xbox did with the Series S and the X, and it just seems to have paid off, especially with these constraints from the supply chain. I don't know if you want to dive into all this stuff, Eric, but I mean, it just seems like with all these semiconductor shortages and just the the constraints going on here, it just seems like the planning ahead has paid off for the Series consoles.
Yeah, it definitely has. Like with and he was, as he huge made a point about it, like the reason for why it's also been a success for them that they've hit 12 million is because that it's been able, basically with the chip in the Series S, just like with its capabilities, they're able to produce that a lot faster than an X. So like some like big Sony diehards were trying to like downplay that because they're like, well, no, if they were just focused on the X, then all those would have been sold out too. And I'm like, but they wouldn't have been able to produce as 12 million Series X if they just did that. That's not how that would have worked. Some of them try to equate that of like, well, the same people making those consoles were making, the PS5 digital and the PS5 like, regular version with the disc drive. I'm like, but disc drive is not the same as making the actual processors, so it's not like 1-to-1. But I mean, that's really been a great boom from them, especially because of the price. So that's also helped move those consoles. So on top of that, and getting more supply when, hey, you need, Christmas gifts, and Game Pass also is an amazing deal to tie in with that. Hey, you get to play all these games, and it's the only thing available, and it's cheaper. I mean, otherwise, you wouldn't expect, for even people want to say all the bad stuff about Xbox One, it still sold pretty good. That they were saying some of the same things in the first few months. Hey, this is outpacing, and for a while it was outpacing the 360. But although 360, at least initially, it wasn't like it didn't have I wouldn't say it had supply constraints, but like they weren't pumping those things out near as quick either when it was first coming out. But yeah, they used to say that as well. Like in the first couple of years, they'd come out and say, hey, Xbox One, it's actually, for all the negative press, it's actually outpacing the 360 that sold 80 million. So I mean, this is still a good win because Xbox One still sold steadily, at least for those first couple of months, because people were thinking, well, Halo 5's around the corner, it's going to turn around here soon. It never did, but I mean, it's still a big win for them if they can keep this up, keep the momentum going. They keep selling out. I hardly ever see stock at a store, or if at all, at least in the States. So I mean, it's working for them. So, but yeah, I'm not seeing all the people that keep saying that it's like, hey, they're just gonna hold it back, or it's less powerful than the Xbox One X. Cool. Well, Xbox One X won't be playing Starfield or any other next-gen third-party games, so I guess it's not more powerful than the S. But
yeah, well, I mean, unless you do it through the cloud, right? Open up that browser.
Yeah, I mean, there is that. But at that point, you're just streaming a video, so.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, it worked out for them, so it was a smart move.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, this way they can actually discontinue the Xbox One and fully put all their resources into the next generation. And if you can't find a next-gen console, you're not really left behind so long as you have xCloud. I mean, compared to the other side, where they don't have that luxury, so they got to keep making PS4s and make their games cross-gen, but Xbox, they actually planned ahead. So I'm really glad Xbox is in the position that they are. Like, where they're doing it right.
On top of that, to say that the truth of the matter is that Xbox's messaging and everything has been consistent, and Sony has been absolutely all over the place. And listen, it's kind of funny that they're doing the PS4, still creating. But to me, that tells me that they don't really want to sell the digital. They don't want to take the loss on the digital. So I do kind of feel like the digital is a unicorn console. They never expected to sell them at mass quantities because they take too much of a loss. And I kind of feel like it's kind of cheesy by them to do that because they never really intended from the start to sell that. That was more just a counter of the Xbox Series S to $299. They didn't want to be out there $200 more, but they're definitely limiting the digital, and I think that's pretty apparent, especially if they're still, producing the PS4. And yeah, I really feel like Xbox is just outclassing Sony this generation. Their messaging has been absolutely spot on, and let's be honest, Sony's been all over the place. Like, they said we believe in generations, and they said Spider-Man was only possible on next-gen hardware, and then they switched that up, and then they switched up a lot of other stuff. And, remember with Booty's comments, so many people had so many problems with it. He said 2 years will probably be done. But guess what? In 2 years, it's coming up, and guess what? Every game that looks like it's coming up in the second half of 2022 is next generation for Xbox compared to Sony, which is cross generation. So yeah, they really kicked Sony's ass on this messaging.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got a super chat from Dirt Griggity for $5. Thank you very much, brother. What's going on, fellas? I figured Xbox would be much better this generation, but I didn't expect Xbox to be doing this good, this quick into this gen. Hey, I mean, I totally agree with you, Dirt, and it's really nice considering like the hammering they got last gen, and in some ways deservingly so, but I still felt like the Xbox One did offer quite a bit in a lot of ways. But yeah, they've been really hammering. And you know what? With some of it, it's been really good planning. Others have been, the timing of things. But, kudos to them. They really planned out some things very well. Some things sucked, like, again, having to push Halo Infinite a year back. But again, that's paid dividends to them because the game turned out to be pretty darn good. And yeah, we got a lot of good games to look forward to in 2022. Sorry. But yeah, guys, it's just interesting too. Like you're all saying, like the Xbox One. We didn't know that the Xbox One was discontinued. It was only just confirmed a couple of days ago officially by Xbox. Who was it? Cindy Walker, the director of console product marketing. She said that it was to focus on the Xbox Series production. And I'll be honest with you, that was a very good decision by them to do that late last year, to focus on those chips. Whereas the PlayStation, again, like you guys were touching on, both Tim and Shockley, there's this report that came out that Sony planned to cut the PlayStation 4 at the end of this past year, 2021, but with all the supply shortages, they've had to go back on that because those chips for the PlayStation 4 are just a lot easier to find. So they're going to have to rely more on the previous gen, which is very, very, very interesting. And just kind of a whole narrative flip entirely. Centurion Buddy, you've been a bit quiet. What are your thoughts on all this?
I'd let everybody go first because I've been debating with this about a few people in DMs, and how is Sony going to compete? Sorry to be an ass like that, but how are you going to release a $300 PS4 against a $300 Series X? I just really don't know what to say about that situation. We're seeing Sony in a position that we haven't seen Sony in a while. Sony has had its ups and downs, and they were at a very big high point last gen. It appears now that they did not plan accordingly. They weren't prepared for what was going on. And in business, sometimes the make or break in a business is learning how to pivot. And we all saw that Microsoft can pivot very easily. They switched we already heard the rumors that they had ended Xbox One production months ago. And then, like you said, it was actually officially announced just the other day, which I think is actually pretty witty of Xbox. We're used to PlayStation being witty and coming out with something like, hey, look at what we're doing better over here. And it's like, the other day we got PlayStation coming up. We're gonna start producing more PS4s to get to where we can still have a console on the market because of all the silicon shortages, semiconductor shortages, and lack of materials to create our really massive heat sink. And all of a sudden Xbox comes out and it's like, oh yeah, we already stopped production on the Xbox One. We're all in on next gen. And it's a total difference in messaging from the two companies. Who said well? Somebody say something?
I don't know, but
No, I think it was an echo.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. I was like, is somebody objecting?
well, it
No,
is.
I agree with what you're saying. I kind of feel like they're hamstrung, as is Xbox. It's just that Xbox has in the unique position that it requires less silicon to make the Series S, and I think we talked about this earlier. I know I reported on the other show. I think I reported here that it takes 2-to-1 silicon. So if you want to make a Series X, it takes the amount of silicon 2 times more than it would than the S. And Xbox debated this, and they consciously flooded the market in the holiday with Series S so that more people can have it, and that's how they hit the number of 12 million. Which is for a year and a month or whatever, is absolutely fantastic numbers. To think that all of last generation, they never had anything close to that. Like they were like 8 million, 9 million for a physical year, and right off the bat they're 12 million, and it looks like forecasting that everything is still going to be sold out throughout the year, and it looks like they're going to probably. Mr. Welfare predicts he's very good at that. 12 to 13 million consoles, or 12 million consoles for the year. Which, if you're at that pace, you're at 25 million at the end of 2022, going into 2023, and that's a really strong proposition for Game Pass. I mean, it's just crazy how they turned it around this fast. I don't think anybody thought that they would have done it this fast.
Well, nobody thought that they would do it this fast, but I'm thinking the rogue factor that a lot of people still have not really wanted to acknowledge is the change in leadership over at Sony with Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan is not Sean Layden. Like, if you look at the interviews with the ex-game director over at Ben Studios for Days Gone, and all the hoopla that's going on with apparently how him and his team were made to feel that their game was a failure. Sean Layden came out and talked about how he had really high hopes for that game franchise, and that he was really disappointed in seeing that Sony wasn't doubling down on that game franchise. So that means Sean Layden wanted to get that was a Sean Layden game. Meanwhile, Jim Ryan, whatever he's doing over there, he's focused on total different things than what people are expecting. He is definitely more focused on the PC side of things. They have raised game prices. I mean, public perception is starting to shift. I saw a tweet today from Gaming Forte about how somebody brought a custom Call of Duty PlayStation 4 into GameStop and traded it for a Series S. And when you read the comments and you start feeling the temperature of the room, you hear some of the same things I've already been seeing. That apparently over on the PlayStation side, they feel that gaming over there is for the elite. And when I mean the elite, I mean people that have really good paying jobs that can afford these $70 games and paying for games multiple times and paying for upgrades and all these other things that Xbox gamers have been treated with by Microsoft Xbox, and actually receiving most of the time free of charge. And definitely you're starting to see this perception shift that who wants to go broke playing video games? I don't care who you are. You could sit there and try to champion Sony all day long. They're a great plastic box. They make really good games, but no one is going to go broke unless you're absolutely crazy over a plastic platform. But with Xbox, let's think about it. You got the next gen console, which is going to be the same cost as the PS4. The games are going to be not as expensive as they are in the PS5. We all know that most games on the PS5 are going to be $70. We know there's $70 games on the Xbox side, but they are few and far between compared to the PlayStation side. Also, for $300, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but doesn't the game consoles come with like a free month of Game Pass?
I think it's 14 days.
Maybe, but still, think about it
yeah.
though as a parent. Like, for Christmas, I got a birthday, whatever celebration you got going on, I could go buy a $300 console and still got to fork out more for a game, or I could buy the box for 15 days. They're gonna have access to X amount of games for free of charge, and then for $10 to $15, I could give them a game library with more games than they could play in a freaking month. So it just comes down to, I'm sorry, but people with an intelligence of wanting to be responsible with their money and not and trying to basically somehow support Sony with their own pockets. I've never understood why anybody's I gotta keep Sony alive. Let Sony worry about keeping themselves alive. It's called competition. If they're going to let their competition overtake them through creating so much added value that people are going to start switching, dude, that's on them. That's not on people to support Sony, because Sony isn't exactly wanting to pivot and change with the times and how. Like, let's think about it, man. Freaking the cost of everything is going up. Inflation is absolutely crazy. My paycheck is not getting any bigger. I buy very few games on the PlayStation side. Most of the time I wait for them to go on sale. I'm overspending most of my money on Xbox because it's more affordable.
I think you really made some really strong points there. Not to interrupt Invader, but I just wanted to really kind of piggyback on that and things that I've heard. Yeah, you hear a lot of parents talking or tweeting like that they don't have all the money in the world. And listen, it's the crunch is there. Inflation's up 7 to 10%. There's a lot of money, and there's no shame in saying that you can't afford, or that you have to kind of limit yourself on video games, because it isn't an essential. It isn't essential, okay? It is something that we do recreational, and for the amount of value that Xbox has been pushing out, you are seeing a lot of people say, like, I saw somebody say today, I'm a single father, and I didn't think the way the generations were going that I'd be able to actively support gaming, but here I am with Game Pass, and I really, am grateful that I can, and that's not bullshit. I mean, you look at the stuff. Just look at this month with Game Pass. You're not starved for games. If anything, and I think we're all guilty of it, you can't keep up with Game Pass. It's so kick ass that it's building. It builds. You can't keep up with it. It's absolutely. You can, but everyone has time, but it's very hard to. They are offering a ton of stuff. They are 3 times saying this month. First, they come up with the first round of games, and everyone's like, "Oh wow, Game Pass is game," and then they're like, "Oh, Extraction's coming also," and then they're like, "Oh, Hitman the Trilogy is coming at no extra cost." It's absolutely crazy, and I just think that you really hit home on a lot of points. That's really kind of the answer to why. It's why it's not that surprising. It's because people really are seeing and feeling the value of what Xbox is providing as a whole.
Oh no, you're right. We're being inundated and overwhelmed with content from Game Pass. Like, we're already planning to play Extraction, me, the blue one, and the guys that I hang out with. And then all of a sudden, we just found out today that ESO is doing an event a day after. It's starting a day after the day after Extraction comes out. ESO is starting an event. So now we're all going, man, we're going to have to juggle going back and forth between Extraction and ESO playing the event. And let's just man, there's never enough time to play the games we want to play.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, like, the conversations going on right now, fellas. Especially, we talk about all that stuff that we just went through, but then even PlayStation developers recently, there was a couple of articles that came out, like Corey Balrog from Sony Santa Monica, saying that, again, the PlayStation developers, they've been badgering Sony to bring their games to PC because, again, that's more, it's more revenue for them, more exposure for these game titles, and I'm pretty sure that they've been seeing the success of Xbox Game Pass Not just on the console side of things, but even on PC, because PC gamers have been getting in on that as well. Just the overall success. So, I think overall Xbox has been killing it. With the way that their marketing has been, and just the way that again the way that they talk to the fan base, the consumer base, as well. Just again, policy wise, they've been pretty good. They've been pretty good overall. But yeah, guys. I mean, either way, it's sad to see. Just to like kind of close off this topic, it's sad to see the Xbox One kind of officially go. But at the same time, the Xbox Series consoles kick ass. I had a lot of really awesome times with the Xbox One, and it was a little bit of a difficult generation to be an Xbox fan at the time, but
for sure.
it was. But I'll say this before and I'll say it again. I still to this date do not regret my purchase of a waiting in line at an EB Games at midnight for the launch of the Xbox One, even with the Kinect, because I'll admit I did really enjoy the Kinect for what it was.
I like the Kinect too. I 100%. I just think that the Xbox One, as listen, we went over this 1,000 times and we've all talked about it. It got off on the wrong foot, and unfortunately, it never recovered. Even at launch, it never recovered at E3 of 2012 when Sony really took it to them, and they had that commercial, the trading games, and this Xbox tried so hard, and I feel like it was a pretty, it was a hard generation. I think Xbox tried to give their best, foot forward, and I feel that, they really, took care of the fans in some aspects with like Fan Fest, but they were limited on content. But, I think we were all vocal, and as a community, we told them, we need games, and look at what's going on here now. I mean, they're, like I said at the opening of the show, they got so many games in development, they have so many unannounced games, and here I am talking to, people at Xbox, and they're like, we got to do better. We got to, and this is coming from, the same people where last gen they couldn't get a break. And they always try to be so positive because that's the only thing that they could do. Because everything was just so negative, and they really it was a hard time for them. It was a hard time for the fans.
Yeah.
It just overall it was a tough time, but here we are, and it's kind of nice because we all stuck with them, and we are we're here now, and it's nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. And I know that they hit a roadblock recently with how many backwards compatible games that they're able to bring themselves to the system, but I still want those legacy titles, like all of them brought forward from the OG Xbox, from the 360 and whatnot. And I really hope that, I know that Xbox made an impassioned speech about it, like again going back 2 months ago, about having these publishers be more open to emulation. And I really hope that we see more of that, more openness, and just more allowance of this, because again, there's a lot of awesome games that people still really need to enjoy. I think because going back to the back catalog, even Xbox exclusive titles, bring back MechAssault. I know that there's complications, and I talk about it a lot, but there's a lot of kick-ass games that should be revisited. And even
not to go off on a random subject, but I feel that backwards compatibility has the potential to come back into the mainstream if a certain situation occurs with a piece of hardware that's coming out over on the Sony side. Because if you think about it, the whole problem with backwards compatibility games is when these games were contracted out, it said Xbox 360 or whatever platform they were using, and then that's why they had to go in and do all this relicensing. And that's why on the Xbox side, they treat the Xbox now as an ecosystem. So when you make a game for the ecosystem, that game can work on whatever you want. Pretty much most of the contracts will be for that game to work in the ecosystem no matter what hardware is running it, at least for newer titles that come out. But I think it's going to be very interesting because a couple of people I've been listening to that have been discussing the PSVR 2 are really wondering, what does this mean for the PSVR 1 games? Were these games contractually obligated to only work on the PSVR 1, which was a PS4 accessory, and now we're talking about a PS5 accessory? Are we going to see backwards compatibility come back into the mindset of every gamer out there? That are we going to see yet another game get locked down to last generation due to the unforeseeable future?
Well, it's interesting you say that because I think, what was it, yesterday or maybe a couple hours ago? I can't exactly remember, so please forgive me, fellas. But there was a leak about the PlayStation Store saying that there were PlayStation 3 games popping up on the PlayStation 5 store. So I don't know. Could that be a part of their subscription service? Will we be getting some kind of announcement soon? Maybe.
I've seen some things about backwards compatibility popping up over about, I guess somebody cracked backwards compatibility or emulation over on the PlayStation side, but I didn't see anything official. So that's where I just kind of put it always up on, I put that on the top shelf of, well, let's hope that's possible, because
Don't hold your breath.
yeah, that's because at the same time that we all know Sony likes to hide backwards compatibility behind paywalls and other things that I don't agree with when it comes to backwards compatibility. It would be great, but I'm like Shock just said, I'm not going to hold my breath because, you know, this isn't that would be not the Sony I'm used to.
It's already there. It's, if you look at it, they have PS2 titles up until this last backwards compatible update for Xbox, for OG Xbox. They actually had more PS2 titles that were backwards compatible on PlayStation. I'm not sure if they have any PS1 titles, but PS3 isn't going to happen, and a lot of people were posting pics of PS3 games, but because it showed prices, but that's because there was kind of like, and it's a known glitch from the past few years, because when PS Now started, it used to see like prices of like $15.99 to rent it for like 2 days to play the game. Crazy astronomical prices before they kind of revamped it, because it was ridiculous. But some of those prices still show up, so people are thinking like, oh, I can play Dead or Alive 5 for, I can buy it for $15. No, that's the old PS Now like pricing structure. So they're not somehow. And I think the big thing people keep passing around, that all games are going to be all backwards compatible, PS1, PS2, the whole entire library. I'm like, you people are nuts. Like, that's never going to happen. The whole licensing issue behind that, no, stop.
Well, if Xbox is having issues, I can only imagine how things are at their end. So,
yeah,
Well,
they didn't
everybody
unlock
likes
the
Sony
secret
better.
thing
They're
to
just gonna
play
let 'em
every
do it.
disc.
Not.
No. Yeah, they unlocked a secret in there to allow you to play every disc to get around the licensing issue, because that's what they would have to do, and then that means they don't make any money off of it because you could just put a disc in. No, at least Xbox, they were like, hey, you can put that disc in, but we have to be able to like sell it to you digitally. For the most part, there's a couple that are disc only, but most of
There's
them
some
are
good
digital.
backwards compatibility games on the PlayStation side. Like, I just recently bought Jak and Dexter, the quadrilogy with all the Jak and Dexter games in it, and then I also bought Star Wars Bounty Hunter. That's where like, if you have never played Star Wars Bounty Hunter, you need to go check that game out. It is the story of Jango Fett and how he became basically the soldier that they cloned in the episode 2 of Attack of the Clones, why they chose him. Count Dooku's in it, and you see the whole backstory of how he got the Slave One, which is the ship that we always see Jango and Boba Fett use. And it also gave really great lore towards the Mandalorian species in the Star Wars universe. Which that's everybody's getting exposed to the Mandalorian side now because of the Disney television show. I was exposed to the Mandalorian culture in Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which was an absolute awesome game, and it can only be found either on Nintendo GameCube or basically the PlayStation backwards compatibility.
Interesting, very
I
interesting.
need to work on with Konami to get Metal Gear Solid 4 on, just not even backwards compatible. Just put a remaster and just slap it on there and make us rebuy it. Like, that's so crazy. It's tied to the PS3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll have to keep an eye on that and what they do with that. But, yeah, guys, I mean, either way, lots to look forward to. Lots to look forward to from both, well, Xbox and PlayStation. But we'll probably know about that subscription service in the coming months. All right, guys, continuing on here, we'll move on to the next topic. And it looks like Xbox Game Pass is getting another high-profile release into the service. The Hitman Trilogy is launching day one into it on January 20th. So, what, only 4 days away? Damn, pretty quick. Scent Buddy, moving over to you. If I remember correctly, you're a bit of a Hitman fan, if I'm not mistaken. What are your thoughts on the trilogy going into day one into the Game Pass?
I'm excited for people who have not checked the game out. I've played the first and second ones. I just recently bought the third one with with all the DLC, the 7 Deadly Sins. It's actually a very unique set of games. I never played the originals. I keep going back whenever they go on sale, and I look at the originals. The originals definitely do not reach out to me and like hit. It's not my cup of tea on the originals, but the newer ones. Let's just to describe it, it's a sandbox environment depending on what mission you're on, whether you're doing a military base, going around a dinner event, or trying to break into some secret high-tech health spa for it's almost got like a James Bond-esque style to it with some of the enemies on going to a high-tech health spa that has the ability to do plastic surgery with a robot to change them so that way they can become anybody they want. And when you're in these sandbox environments, you get to do things. There's multiple ways to take out the main target. Like at the health spa, you can go in and at least find the target while he's in his room, quick and easy. Or you can start getting creative and wait until he goes into the plastic surgery suite and you find one of the techs that operate the robot and you take them out and you put on their uniform and you go into the control room and reprogram the robot to totally mutilate this guy. There's multiple different ways to solve the puzzle. It's almost like a puzzle of how do you get from point A to point B, take out this guy and get out of there without arising suspicion. Because you could try to run and gun in those games, but they'll overwhelm you very quick. You just got to be stealthy and methodical in your thoughts. Like, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to disguise myself as. This is how, and they even have you plan it out on how you want to take your targets out. You can try to sneak a gun in to shoot them, or you can start get really creative and hide a mine underneath a table and then just go somewhere else and detonate it when they're near that table. There's a million different ways to play each scenario. I had a lot of fun playing them. I've been enjoying the story. They actually do have a good story to them, and definitely get to keep coming back. There's also, what is it, the little side missions that they have that aren't where you can go into like a sniper mode and you just stay at a distance, and the whole objective is to try to pick everybody off with a sniper rifle, but then you get style points, like you can wait for the individual at the wedding reception to get underneath a stack of speakers that are anchored on the building, and rather than shoot the individual, you shoot the speakers up top, dropping them on top of the individual, and you get style points. Definitely, they've made it a very fun, creative game. Definitely gonna hopefully see a lot of people talking about Hitman who haven't tried it out yet. There's a lot of laughs in it. But also, we also got to talk about the fact that IO seems to be getting really, really comfortable with Xbox. We've heard rumors with Project Dragon potentially being an RPG style game that is being made exclusively by IO for Xbox. And not to mention, we also saw all the rumors that, IO separated themselves from Square Enix, and they've had a lot of companies throw money at them trying to make the acquisition, but they wanted to try to stay independent because they won their independence from Square Enix. They had a manager buyout. But we also have to acknowledge the fact that when you get bought out by Xbox has a tendency to leave companies alone once you're underneath that umbrella. They don't like to really interfere too much with what's going on at the studios. They don't want to shoehorn them into creating games they're not passionate about. So definitely, if IO was to want to start talks with somebody that would be able to acquire them and give them more money to do what they love and leave them alone, Xbox would be the perfect company for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like it's a trial run. I mean, Jeff Grubb, I think, best said it. A lot of people were like, where's the acquisitions last year? And, I've been talking about how Xbox wants to invest money. And I think a lot of the investments last year were a lot of buying up devs. Not devs per se, like in publishers, but hiring developers to come on and add to the teams that they existingly have. I mean, Bethesda grew a lot. All these studios have grown. Some doubling in size and getting locations that they can work at, like Compulsion.
Tim, look at Undead Labs. Apparently, they just opened up a third location in Orlando.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the type of spending that they've done. But what I was saying about Jeff was Jeff said, and I think Miles of Windows Central suggested that this is kind of like, they're both showing their best faces to each other, and it's kind of like a work in progress. Obviously, IO is rumored to have a game. It looks like it's pretty much legit. Just judging by, people at Xbox reaction, like Joe Neat, who is visibly upset because of all these projects coming out, because they're true. If they weren't true, you would laugh it off. But, so IO supposedly has a big AAA Dragon game, and, you see stuff like this, and as, Centurion talked about, that's the mark of Phil. I really believe that Phil has preached that. You come in, run as you were. We'll be hands off. We'll be more of a support. A support. If you need money, if you need, a certain type of, if you need, ATG to come and help you with the technical side of it and certain things like that. But they're hands off, and I think that speaks to Phil, because I think that's Phil's philosophy, and I do think it's going to pay off dividends. I could definitely see, especially if the games do well, whether it's Perfect Dark and the Crystal Dynamic team that's on there, or this, or even Avalanche. If those games are successes, I could definitely see some signed deals, especially, and I said we were talking about it, I believe last show, for next year or this year when we're in 2022. I see the acquisitions. I can see a couple landing this year, but the funny thing is like I was saying, even though they hadn't acquired anybody since Bethesda, they have been like adding so many developers, and even ATG, which was their support studio that helps. They're like the best of the best as far as their developers, that they know like the ins and outs of DirectX 12 and how to get the most out of it. That team doubled in size. Bethesda's running commercials at the at the Game Awards to hire. Uh, you know, uh, you look at even Hellblade Studio, Ninja Theory. There were 40. Now I hear there are like 60 people working on Hellblade 2, where the first game had 15 people. So yeah, they are expandingly growing. You talked about State of Decay, the developer there. They just, like you said, opened up a studio for animation help for the across the board, so everyone can go to them. So I really feel like Xbox game studios in the last couple of years have grown, and they'll continue to grow. I really think that as I heard, they want to spend smart, but they want to spend, and that speaks to us, the gamers. We're buying up Xboxes and we're buying up games and we're staying subscribed, and it's a very good thing. I'm really happy to see where just the overall health of Xbox is, just comparatively to last generation where it came so close to us not even having this to talk about. Think about that.
Yeah.
So, it's just a great position to be in, and this whole panel has been good Xbox fans, and stuck with it, and it's just a tribute to all of us, to all the fans, and all the people in the chat. Nano, just awesome fans. I mean, just not the fair weather fans who just who are here, they're there all the time. You know what I mean? So I'm just, like I said, I'm just really happy at the position they're in, and I definitely expect more growth, whether it be organically or a couple of studios, signings, especially current deals that are going. If they hit off project, if Perfect Dark's a hit, I guarantee you there'll be that Crystal Dynamics will be a part of that team. I don't see them going back to Square.
I just love the aggressiveness personally of Xbox, and that breeds competition, and you can tell, especially with like Sony's PlayStation's acquisitions over the past year as well. They've been more aggressive too, and even with the way that they're going into PC gaming again, it's very indicative of, again, they're both being very aggressive. And hey man, when you got the full force of Microsoft behind you, you're gonna see a lot of money get pumped into things. And with regards to IO Interactive, again, Xbox isn't stupid, Microsoft isn't stupid. When they do a deal like this to get the Hitman Trilogy in, they see the data. They see the data of how many people download it, how many people are talking about it online. Like, again, all the analytics that go into all this stuff. They're looking hard into it to see what we're all playing. And it could also, if it's a really big hit on Game Pass, they'll definitely look into them. I wouldn't say for acquisition per se, but it certainly helps. And with this codename Dragon that they're working on, hopefully we get to hear something about it this year, an announcement of some sort. They do look like a prime candidate, but it just shows the aggressiveness there. MLD buddy, are you a Hitman fan? Do you think you're gonna try out the trilogy, test the water here?
Oh, we are certainly spoiled for choice right now. I mean, after my current games were done, I actually wanted to go into Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So, I mean, in 1 month, they released like these 2 trilogies onto Game Pass. Like, it's crazy here. And then you got Extraction. I don't know. It's definitely going to go in my backlog, but it is just too much to play. But from what everyone's been saying, it's definitely like a very, it's one of the top stealth games out there. I just admire Xbox for really, what is it? It's like free PR. This is a multi-platform game. It is not exclusive to Xbox. But doing this, it's almost like it's like kind of like a pretend exclusive, a half exclusive, whatever you will. It gives them free PR. It gets the fans talking. It gets us appreciative, because I'm sure this wasn't cheap. Like, they got to pay money to get these day one games. And gamers are starting to see Xbox is willing to pay the extra money to put these multi-platform games on their service. Is Sony doing that day one for PS Plus and PlayStation Now? Not really. At least not for like these big games that we're seeing here, these multi-platform AAA games. So it's just overall a really good strategy for them. It's just however much it pays. Like it's as if like they released their own first party exclusive. It just gets gamers talking. It just gets Xbox so much positivity. So yeah, like, and I hope this is like the kind of like the courting phase, like that with Xbox and IO. I hope this leads to something good. I hope the data comes in and is favorable, because I feel like the best acquisitions are ones that come with established IP. Like Bethesda came with so many IP that predate like even the PS1 with Doom and Wolfenstein. The Hitman series, that would be a big pickup. And you know, if that happens, all the backlog, all the previous Hitman games of say from the 360 period, they would come on the Game Pass permanently. Be discovered by all these gamers, new and old. It's a nice prospect to think about. So I'm hoping for the best. I hope gamers discover it, and they should. But me personally, it's gotta go in the back, because I personally want to play Mass Effect Legendary Edition, because I got a new TV with that. That's 120 frames per second, and I really want to play that in 120 frames. But Hitman's definitely going to go in the backlog for the year.
Did you get it?
Well, I mean,
oh, go ahead, Tim.
no, we're going to talk about this in an upcoming topic, but you know, just the point about the Game Pass, about how it's like free PR. You know, people are complaining about the next 6 months. Oh, there's no games. When you have something like Game Pass, each month you're taken care of, no matter what. You know, yeah, they might not have exclusive games because of delays and such, but you just had an amazing last 6 months. And yeah, you might be a little bit light with exclusives for the next 6 months, but if January is any indication, you really don't have much to say, because you're getting a lot. You know what I mean? Yeah, I kind of feel like you know, what you know, MLD said is that like they can combat some bad you know, like a delay with, hey, you know, guess what? We got this on Game Pass. Or they can sign a deal, not saying that it's going to happen, but like something like Dying Light. Hey, 2 weeks before, guess what? Home of Game Pass, Dying Light 2. Stuff like that, you know, and it's not exclusive, but in a way, it plays like an exclusive would. Not the same amount of, obviously, you know, press or whatever, or hit that an exclusive would have, but there's something there. If Dying Light 2 was named on Game Pass day one, we would all be going nuts. And that's just the power of Game Pass. The Game Pass not only is unbelievable for the gamer, but it's also big for Xbox, because it's a built-in PR machine. They can basically say, hey, we're having a rough month. You know, we're getting hit over here, or we got to delay. We might have to delay, you know, Redfall or here and there. You know what? Let's talk to, you know, Dying Light 2 dev, and let's get some money going, and let's get this exclusive, shut people up. And at the end of the day, people will take it. You know what I mean? So, you know, there's a lot of things that Xbox has built into their model that, you know, they can lean back on. You know, there's no, you know, there's ways to get the proper PR and a good word of mouth out there. And they've consistently did this, and they started this last year with like the show and Outriders, and you know, people take notice, and it's a big deal. So again, I know we sound like, you know, we're you know, the major shills for Xbox, but maybe they made us this way because they're just delivering, and there's no way about it. They're delivering more than Sony is, if you're really comparing it at this point. You know, and it's beginning to show, and public is beginning to pick up on it, and that's why, you know, they're at 12 million sales. They're not getting killed 3-1 or 2-1, like they were. I mean, and I'm going to end this off by saying, when they had Connect in April of 2014 or May of 2014, that month worldwide, they got outsold 8-1. So for that month worldwide, they lost 8-1. That's how much of a hole Xbox was in. Think about that. And now that they're coming to the point where they're almost, PlayStation's probably at 16, 15 million, and Xbox is at 12.5, but that's not 8-1. So that's how much they've come back, and that's how much they've gained through the years.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Plus, like, again, they're going all in on PC day one. They did not do that in any previous generation. We're going to get those like a streaming stick and TV integration this year. And yet, it's the best generation Xbox has ever had. And all the naysayers, they kept saying, if you do day one PC, no one's going to buy a console. And yet, here we are.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. And by the way, MLD, what kind of TV did you pick up? Just out of curiosity. Is it an LG?
Samsung QLED, 75-inch.
Ooh.
Nice.
I walked into Best Buy. I said, I want 120. I want HDR. I want variable rate shading. I want all that stuff. and the guy pointed me to the TV, LG or Samsung. Like, well, I'm a Samsung. If I'm a as far as TV goes, I'm a Samsung brand loyalist. I went with that one. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm gonna set up this week.
Can't go wrong, man. That's a great TV. I know exactly. We know which TV that you got, and I have seen it. It's amazing TV. It blows you away.
Watch Dune on that thing. Shit looks amazing.
Okay, Dune and Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Those will be my first things. Okay.
Sounds good, guys. And Eric, just out of curiosity, do you plan on downloading Hitman, or gonna wait?
I mean, with everything being so dry until I think Crossfire X drops out next month, but yeah, I might give it a try. I was a big Hitman guy on the 360 and like OG Xbox, and then just I don't know. I watched my friend play, I think, Absolution, and then just something turned me off about the look of the game. I don't know, from like those old school ones, but I've been hearing great things about Hitman 3 and some of the other earlier series, so might download it and give it a try.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Let's see here. We got 30 watching, but only 16 likes. Come on, guys. Smack that like button. And again, share it out. Let everybody know that we are live. All right, guys. We will move over to something else. Next up, some other bits of news. And Stalker 2 is getting delayed, well, yet again. Moving 7 months from April 28th to December 8th. Developer GSC stated that they need more time to polish off the game, and just to get it into a more desirable state. I guess they're being perfectionists, if I'm to take all their wording right. Shockley Bud, what are your thoughts on this game delay here? Is this going to hurt Xbox, or do they have enough in the pipeline, or, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, it was definitely, because we were just talking, or I was just bringing it up last podcast of like when I was psyched for this one, because I knew it was early part of the year. I mean, it sucks in the scheme of things that we don't get to play earlier, but if you actually look at with Xbox's lineup, they have December already set with Stalker 2, November with Starfield. We know Redfall is supposed to be somewhere in this. I don't know if it's the spring, or I think it's at least the summer. I think they said summer 2022.
One can hope. I mean, supposedly there's a delay, but
and obviously we don't have. We're probably not going to know until around E3 time. That's probably when they're going to announce when Deathloop would come to Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Would be my guess, or maybe they can't say anything about it since it'd still be under that 1 year. But my guess it would be hitting at least sometime this fall with Deathloop, because I think they just had that 1 year exclusivity. So
for sure,
that should be a no-brainer since they own the studio. So you got Redfall, so you already got those 4, and I think we have you have Crossfire X dropping, next month.
Age of
so
Empires
hopefully,
is definitely coming too.
yeah.
I've sourced that, and
The reboot.
Well,
Yeah.
So you
definitely
have
coming
quite it,
responsible.
and this is all the stuff just that we know. There could be, I don't know if Forza Motorsport would make it, or maybe they have something else. Maybe that's a smaller, title, kind of like how you had obviously not Outer Worlds 2, but a title like that that might not be like a big, huge
Well,
release.
I
But it sounds
mean,
like they got a pretty good lineup for the year. If all those hit,
mhm. Like
that's
there
seems
is.
pretty good.
Oh no, yeah. Not to interrupt you, Eric, but I mean, it's just the the reality of it. Like so many games are getting delayed. I know what was it, a month ago? Scorn had made an announcement. The team there saying that the game would be delayed further again. I want to say into September or October of this year.
October for Halloween.
Yeah, and well, that makes a lot of sense. I was hoping to.
Oh yeah, they have Scorn as well. So I mean, they got
Mhm.
pretty good lineup.
But there's also
Yeah, it's a very strong lineup if you really think about it. You have Age of
Yeah, as long as
Empires,
they hit.
Scorn.
Crossfire
you
X.
have, yeah, I
Episode
mean, you.
I don't think
you
it's a
have
better
some of
release date
these.
for it, but like I thought it was going to hit in April, and that'd been perfect time. There's probably not much going
Forza,
on.
and then you have the almighty of all, Starfield.
Yeah. Well, Starfield is going to be
Yeah.
legendary. So, I mean, nobody wants to be in the heart of that. Like, right on, what was it, November
Rise of
11th.
the Tomb Raider, learn the hard way with Fallout 4.
Yeah, Starfield's gonna, I mean, I find it funny when people compare it to Fallout 76.
They should have not
no,
have paid for that exclusivity.
there was a
Like-
recent posting that it's been in development since 2016. And the last, if you heard the last comments from Todd Howard, they sound like they're well on their way to make the date. So I don't think we're going to be seeing a delay. But yeah, Starfield's going to be absolutely huge.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, Starfield is gonna be massive, especially with the resources that they're putting into it. Howard's comments. It's like this is the game that they're dreamed of making. I don't think that's like an actual marketing thing that they're saying. It's just he's really excited for it. The studio generally sounds excited for Starfield, and I'm just looking forward to the blowout in June. Whenever they're having their E3 thing. So presumably June. It will be the year of Starfield. I'll be curious to see where a bunch of these dates line up because, again, guys, there will be a couple of big games. It's just a matter of, well, will we get a release date for this year or not? Like Redfall, we really don't know. I know that there's been some murmurs of a delay for that, but I wouldn't be surprised. I know that we're going to have a bunch of indie games that will be coming out. I know Tunic's going to be coming out in March. Somerville, I'm not sure if it's coming out this year. There's a bunch of indie titles.
Out this year. They're going to have their event in March for the ID at Xbox. So we'll learn about a bunch of new games too. But yeah, it's gonna be a real solid year, and you throw up Game Pass on top of that. You're gonna have about 4 AAAs, Deathloop into the mix day one on Game Pass. It's
That's what
just,
people they underestimate with that is that when you have Game Pass as well, there's going to be some other awesome, crazy deals that are going to be happening. It might not be exclusive, but on other platforms, you have to shell out. So maybe you don't shell out for that game, and you got to skip it because you're buying God of War this month, and then right after it, who knows where Horizon lands, or like between those two, like how many months apart they are. And maybe you just don't have the money because you're buying some other third-party games, and then there is a game that drops on Game Pass that you wanted to pick up, but you can't. So.
Yeah, it's just a shame because I was looking forward to playing Stalker 2 in April. Like I was gonna set some time aside for it. it does look like a really nice title, a huge, like, again, open world shooter with a lot of different aspects to it. The game looks beautiful graphically, and just I was just very curious about the narrative and so on. To see it get pushed back to December, I mean, again, it's not the first game to get pushed back to December, and Halo Infinite, obviously, this past year seemed to have done pretty darn well, so I'm not worried about it personally getting pushed back to December. But, I know that the studio, GSC, what was it, like a week ago, they had received, or maybe actually it was right before Christmas, they had received some flack because they made an announcement on social media about NFTs, how they're gonna play in game for NPCs, and again, they got a lot of flack on social media about that. Maybe I don't know, maybe it's just the way that they worded it. I don't know. A lot of people were not interested in hearing that stuff, and they went back on it pretty quickly, and they said, okay, we're listening, and which was good, but it just the past few weeks haven't been very good for them, unfortunately.
So how are NFTs playing into gaming? That's what I'm lost. I understand NFTs, but I'm confused with this whole gaming part of it.
Well,
and what's bad about it?
It's like a game by game basis. It's not universal, I guess. Like Stalker 2, it was like the ability to auction to be a unique character. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, go on.
I don't know. Like, to me, it didn't sound like terribly. Like, again, I'm sort of like into like blockchain stuff and crypto, so I'm not like I'm familiar with the technology. I'm not like really against it per se, but I know that there's a lot of chatter about it recently, and it's kind of a bad word per se right now in gaming. I know that
yeah, they're really crazy about that, like crazy.
Like, I know that the Troy Baker stuff came out. What was it, yesterday too? Like,
yeah.
Like, it's
is that maybe why they delayed? Because that was going to help with some funding.
It could, maybe.
But people are afraid, and everyone says it's going to keep growing. That you're going to have exclusivity, certain types of exclusivity tied around the fact that you can spend $5,000 to get maybe a character or a picture or some stupid stuff. Listen, it's very confusing. It's stupid. Is it really matter? I don't know. A lot of people just don't like the fact that certain people can get certain things and it's not available to others, which I get, but
we've had those. It's called pre-order bonuses.
Yeah, it really is though. Something that people got to watch out for. I mean, Phil even talked about it, and he said in his interview that he doesn't like the way where it's going down. And like I said, it's kind of hard to understand or put a finger on exactly what it is. And that's part of the problem, I think, with it is that it can go anywhere. And we love our video games and they're sacred to us, but when you start messing around with it or messing with these different marketplaces and all this stuff, it's kind of scary. But I hate to say it, seems like a lot of people are getting behind it, you know what I mean? And the Troy Baker thing is just like one example. Like there seems to be a lot of money involved.
Well, Microsoft is technically already involved with a bunch of blockchain projects, even with the Microsoft Mesh project as well. They're involved with a bunch of these blockchain-based games, for example. There's one that I follow called Rota. You guys can look it up. There's a lot of projects in development, and a lot of these big publishers and companies are kind of behind them. Again, like, I don't want to get into a long, drawn-out conversation about this stuff, but it's not just because of the metaverse. It's not just because of one particular thing, but it's just gaming is growing, and it's going to be going into different facets. And I almost want to link it, like, guys, you remember the whole kerfluffle. Obviously, we it's ingrained with Xbox because of back in 2013. Remember the whole again, the backlash because Xbox wanted to go like the digital route, and then gamers didn't want that. And then now, everybody's fine with the digital
Mhm.
gaming and whatnot. People just kind of grew to the idea. It just took a few years to catch on to that idea.
Yeah.
Whereas this kind of stuff, like, I don't know, it's still very early on and with the whole NFT thing and whatnot. But, give it like, let's say 10 years, it might be a big thing. It might be a normal thing. But again, like,
It's funny how Xbox took that backlash all to themselves when they had all of the developers on board.
Yeah.
All the developers were, oh, you're doing that? Cool. That's totally fine with us. But they didn't get any backlash. It was only Xbox. Because they had to agree to it, that all their games were going to be like, yeah, you can't resell them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they're gonna stay away from things that are a bit making things that make fans divided. I think that's not what they need right now, and they know that.
Yeah. No, that's
This would be a
smart.
great opportunity to lock down more exclusivity with Stalker. They're like, hey, oh, you need to delay it? Oh, okay, we can step in here, give you some more resources so you don't have to delay it 7 months. Maybe just give us a few more months, because it's rumored to be, I guess, a 3-month deal.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit longer time, so then we have it out. Because who knows when? Because that can definitely visually compete with, from what we've seen, with like Horizon and some of the Sony's top studios. Like visually, that it looked awesome. It looked probably like the most next gen thing we've seen in like a playable state like that. So.
And if I'm to be honest too, Eric, like I was kind of surprised that they didn't lock down that as an exclusive, because it looked really, really good. Like, and it would be a smart move for them to have that classic.
Yeah.
And
it's just a rumor that
game.
it's 3 months, because there was some promotional, not even promotional. It was more like, because it wasn't like a public document. So because that's where the 3-month thing comes from. Someone took a screenshot of some like. I don't know if it's a slide or a PowerPoint where it showed like 3 months. So who knows if that deal's still the same deal. So, I mean, because the developer hasn't mentioned anything. And whenever he's been asked, he's been like, oh, yeah, we're not developing for, we don't even know what a PS5 is. I don't even have a PS5 dev kit, I think they've said. People would ask them in the past on Reddit.
One thing of note is that they're Poland, based out of Poland, I believe, or Russia,
Ukraine.
or yes, they're based out of Ukraine, which means it's overseas money, which means that it's a lot cheaper for Xbox to make an investment. So it could be one of these things where they're, the cultivating the relationship, and if it hits, they might look into it. But the fact that it's day one on Xbox Game Pass is absolutely incredible, because it is.
Oh, that too.
It's a huge deal.
That's why they needed to make that thing. Give them the funding. I know you already gave them funding in a sense, because it's you gave them a bag for Game Pass, but dang, if that dropped in Game Pass like in the summer and just that would have been, everybody be playing it, because it'd be like a dead summer, because it's supposed to hit in April, right at the start of spring.
Yeah,
that'd have been perfect time. Because there's probably going to be some heavy hitters in that time, and that would have been hopefully, we'll see how it turns out, but a banger. So
well, for them to push it back like that long, like it just showed you, like, again, there's some things behind the scenes that we don't know about, but that, I think everybody agrees that would have been the perfect time.
It looked great. That's crazy, because like at least with Scalebound, when the last time we ever saw that game, it looked rough. Like it was like you could try to see the frames dropping. Like, this doesn't look like it's ready. I don't know how it's dropping 7 months, because that one was supposed to drop like they showed it in E3, and then it was supposed to drop like early the following year. And we're like, yeah, this ain't gonna make it. They're gonna delay this. But then they permanently delayed it.
Yeah, permanently. Comes out 2030. Centurion Pal, do you have any thoughts on Stalker 2 getting delayed? Do you think it's a good thing?
Well, it really sucks that it's being delayed. That was one of the games I was definitely looking forward to in that part of the year. Um, you, I can't say it's not going to be I can't say it's going to be a bad thing. I mean, we definitely don't want a game that's going to be released in a very bad state. We've seen how delays can completely change a game with like Halo Infinite. And honestly, not to just, I guess just to be blunt about it, my entire life does not revolve around one game. Stalker 2 was delayed. Does it suck? Yes. Was I looking forward to playing something new? Yes. But I have a million games in my backlog. Game Pass is drowning me in content, and I can't seem to stop playing ESO. So I definitely am going to have games to play, and I'll be able to wait for Stalker 2 when it comes out. But yeah, it also seems like now, I guess Redfall potentially might be facing a delay. We're starting to see a lot of we're starting to see some resurgences of the pandemic from when it first started. We're starting to see things go a little backwards. And definitely there's some companies now that are definitely going to be shifting how they produce games, how their workforce is going to work, and we're probably going to see some delays as a result of things kind of going a little awry with this new variant going across the world. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, though. I mean, I'm still an Xbox fan. I love what Xbox does. I understand delays happen, and I'm not going to completely just be like, oh, well, the year's shot, Stalker 2 got delayed.
Well, another thing too, Centurion. I mean, if the roadmap for games like still follows, I mean, we got a similar-ish game, like sort of Atomic Heart dropping into Game Pass supposedly. I think the release date sometime in May, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, either way, there's lots of games to play.
Definitely, if you're looking for that Russian sci-fi shooter, Atomic Heart is going to definitely fill that gap quite well. It's going to be a very interesting game. I also feel that maybe now, with Atomic Heart coming out without being overshadowed by Stalker 2, we'll probably see a lot more eyes focused on Atomic Heart, allowing Munfish to get some recognition for a lot of the hard work that they've done. And I mean, like, Stalker 2 is just fine. You want to talk about a game that was in some development hell, go read some of the stuff on Atomic Heart. I even did a paper on it for lordsofgaming.net. Shout out to them. And I was completely shocked on just some of the situations that Munfish have had to deal with in the development of Atomic Heart.
Yeah, truly eye-opening, and that's a game that I've been looking forward to for a long time. But they've done a lot of good over the past year, and I'm really looking forward to that title. It gives me BioShock vibes with Russian, so looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, it's too bad about Stalker 2, fellas. But again, there's a lot of games coming, so no need to worry. Just let them take their time, finish the game, and again, quality over being rushed, right? Don't want to rush.
I gotta say one thing.
Yeah,
I gotta say one thing though, because I feel like I'm looking at the bright side of things, and if you think about it, if this 3-month exclusivity is real, only the PS5 version has been delayed into 2023. Before, we had to share that game in the same year as them, and now it's going to be in the busiest month of the year, only on Xbox, day one Game Pass, and we get all the hype, all the chatter, and they got to wait when everything like settles down. So I'm seeing the silver lining. I point that out on Twitter, and people like, there's a little bit of triggered there, but at least during the holiday period, we got options. If Starfield for some reason isn't your thing, at least you got Stalker 2 if that's your thing. So in the end, I think we won out.
I will say though that I don't know, the whole 3-month exclusive thing I don't really get. I mean, I thought it would like make it more worth their while to do maybe 6 months or a year for a game like that, especially with what they've invested in it from the sounds of things. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We only we hear about like certain leaks and whatnot. Who knows? But that was a very good comment, MLD. But moving on to the last topic for tonight, and we've got some KI grumblings, guys. Killer Instinct. And according to Windows Central, Jess Corton, a source stated that one of Bandai Namco's fighting teams may be involved in this. Ooh. Could Xbox be working with Bandai Namco on this? That would be very interesting. MLD, buddy, KI is a beloved IP that we keep hearing murmurs over the last year, really. Do you think that Bandai Namco would be a good choice, a good fit for this IP to get one of their fighting teams involved here?
I really think it's actually a good fit because for whatever reasons, Iron Galaxy, Double Helix, they are the former developers of the last Killer Instinct. They are just not available to work on it. So an Xbox, they can't just make a stew out of scratch. It's going to take too much time. Better to outsource the work to someone who is capable, who is already established. We've also seen, I feel like that is like the best route where it's like an Xbox publishing deal. And we've seen things where industry veterans, like someone from NetherRealm, was recently hired at Xbox Publishing, and now there's rumors that they're doing a deal with Namco Bandai. Like they got the things with they got Dragon Ball Z, Tekken, Soul Calibur under their belts. Like they've all had influences on those games, all solid fighting games, all like games with unique characters, exactly what Killer Instinct is. Like every character is incredibly unique. And it's just gonna be a slam. It's gonna be a slam hit if they do it right, and hopefully we hear about it soon. I mean, I looked up the stats on Killer Instinct. Apparently, when it hit Steam, the IP reached like 10 million gamers played overall. Like not a small number by any means. So the game is definitely still alive. It has a very very active niche community right now, and I don't think there's really a better developer out there. I mean that's available that can make this. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think they're very capable and it should be good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can tell you something that a little tidbit I know on the subject. I think Jez is barking up the right tree here. I do believe they met when Phil was in Japan. The last go arounds. I think it was the day after Kojima, from what I heard. But I don't know. I do think that this is true, and Jez's sources, as have proven, have been very good. So, yeah, I do think this is true. Killer Instinct, I do believe, is being rebooted, and it only makes sense. Listen, last generation, a few games did really well, and one of the games that did well was Killer Instinct. It did very well on PC, and it did good on console. And they did the model of where they were releasing. It was a free-to-play, I believe. I don't believe that's going to be the case here. I think this is going to be a full-fledged Killer Instinct, and if that's the case, awesome. It's just that's something that this Xbox prides himself on variety, and they are missing that exclusive fighting game. And Killer Instinct is just really an awesome franchise. And next gen only Killer Instinct graphics pushed out. Bandai Namco working on it. I'm excited. Put it that way. And also, if you look towards, I talked about it. Two previous shows back. There's a couple of LinkedIn guys that just came on to Xbox, executive producer that, quite frankly, made fighting games. And I don't have the name. I think one's name is Aaron. Nano would know. Or I talked about it, but it's two people. They both worked at NetherRealm, and one's a technical director and one's an executive producer. They both worked at NetherRealm. They also worked at Warner Brothers, and obviously working on fighting games. Killer Instinct is a real thing. It's happening. in my opinion. And Jez's source and what he's talking about is I can kind of cross-source it and say that I believe from things that I've known from the past that it's true.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's very interesting that they would pick Bandai Namco because, like MLD was saying, they do have quite the collection of IP that, again, they have a lot of fighting games. Tekken, Soul Calibur, Guilty Gear, Jump Force, if anybody remembers all the Dragon Ball fighters as well. And, which is interesting because, over the past year or two, Xbox has been very close with those games. Jump Force, if I'm not mistaken, got heavily marketed on the Xbox side of things when it came out. So it kind of makes sense that Xbox would talk to Bandai Namco about this. Plus, let's be honest, guys, it's difficult to find fighting game devs these days, like ones that are like truly available. NetherRealm's already tied down to Mortal Kombat and Injustice with WB, and Iron Galaxy seems to want to work on its own IP from the sounds of things, and other than that, it just kind of gets a little dry. So it makes sense that they would reach out to Bandai Namco about this. I even saw a video from fighting game enthusiast YouTuber Maximilian Dude. Everybody knows that he loves KI. He's made so many videos about KI, and he was talking about these rumors a couple of days ago, and he was he had a lot of things to say about it. The only thing about Bandai Namco is apparently I don't play their fighters, like and I don't know about the online, but apparently the net code for the games aren't that great in comparison to KI. So I would really hope that Xbox Game Studios, they have an internal team working on that multiplayer, that net code to be able to make it as smooth as possible.
ATG, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They'll dispatch ATG, what we talked about earlier in the show, and that specifically they do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're correct. Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Tim. I forgot about that. But
that does point in the right direction. If you in that article, what's his name, Aaron, from worked at NetherRealms, or he was just working at WB Games and was working on the Mortal Kombat series. So him coming over and now being part of Xbox publishing, that maybe they hired him because of that, and then that might mean at least whether or not the whole Bandai Namco thing is true, at least maybe pointing in the direction that Killer Instinct is going to continue. So, which is what we're all wondering.
I think it's a safe bet that they're doing it. I think I know that it's been asked for a while, but I do think that it's maybe it was greenlit recently, and that's why Jez reported on it. But like I said, just by the signings of Aaron, and there was also another person, and the positions that they're put in, he's an executive producer at Microsoft Studios, and they don't name where he's working, so he could be working for Publisher Global, and he could be a part of the project with Namco. But for him to be in that position and the other person to be a technical director, which I think is a gameplay portion, you put 2 and 2 together, you're going to get 4, and I think it's if you're betting, I think it's like 80-20% that there's going to be a KI, and for me, that's awesome. I just hope it's it's in the way they made the last one. Iron Galaxy did a fantastic job, with KI, and it really was a great game, and I look forward to every time when they release their characters. I'm a big fighting fan, and my ultimate dream is to have Mortal Kombat vs. KI as a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even care if it's multiplat. I don't care. I just want the game to be made. That's my ultimate. It's like one of my biggest asks. Here we are. I think that it's maybe we see something at E3. I do think that Xbox take this to the bank too. They're looking into two projects this year, two shows. E3 being one of them, and then maybe a person in person at the end of the year, if all goes right with the stupid, well, whatever you want to call it, the Omicron, Deltacron. There's supposedly there's vaccines now coming that are going to come down that cover all variants. So if we get to the point where we're at the end of the year and it's looking a lot safer and we can have an in-person event, I think EXO 2022 is being looked at. At least I can tell you this: they're not writing off having two shows this year. Where last year they only had one show and they had kind of the Game Awards to backfill. I think in this case they have so much stuff that they can't finish put in one show, and I do believe that Phil personally was very upset last year because he loves the fans and he loves the interaction, and he was looking forward to having it this year, but Omicron came, and here we are. We're having another digital E3, but in-person event or some type of another event, I do believe, is being looked at for the end of the year. Quite frankly, because Xbox has a shit ton of games coming.
No doubt. I mean, we're just talking about games themselves. I mean, even DLC and shit. Like, you look at what was it? The day that Halo Infinite launched, you saw like they put down a patent for Halo the Endless. I mean, that'd be freaking cool if they showed something off for that too. They got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, guys. It's insane. First party alone is gonna be insane over the next couple of years. I'm really looking forward to what they have. And even for games that we know, I mean, we haven't seen gameplay for Avowed and a lot of other games. So again, like, just a lot of good stuff to look forward to. And then with all these KI rumors, it's really exciting. Can you imagine if we got a KI trailer at the end of the year? Oh, that'd be amazing. Centurion Pal, I'll pick your brain on this. Does Bandai Namco and KI seem like a good formula, a good mix?
I'm going to be truthful. I have not had much experience with Bandai Namco's fighting games. Fighting games haven't exactly always been my cup of tea. I've been kind of, I guess, like another realm fan that always plays Mortal Kombat and Injustice, and that's about as far as I went down that rabbit hole. I played around with like Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. I forget who did that one. I definitely want to say that it would be nice though for Xbox to strengthen their relationship with Bandai Namco. They definitely need to be able to create more games with developers from that part of the world. But also at the same time, I would also have to say maybe I'm a little jaded and bias of Bandai Namco, because I just see them constantly screw with people on YouTube. The minute you publish any gameplay from Bandai Namco, you get that little mark that basically says that, technically it's copyright infringement and they're going to advertise on your video. But you're not getting a strike. But still, it's like Bandai Namco really, for some reason, loves to kind of nix people for using their gameplay online, which I guess is one of the reasons why I've never always... I mainly play their single-player experiences like Code Vein. I just went and got Scarlet Nexus. I'm definitely a fan of their RPGs. I will definitely say I'm probably not the right person to sit here and talk about their pedigree when it comes to a fighting game. I know creating a fighting game can be incredibly difficult, especially with trying to create good controls for online multiplayer in a fighting game. So definitely, I really just hope that they're up to the task and are able to do what needs to be done to preserve Killer Instinct. I've heard a lot of people talk great things about it. There's a lot of fanfare for it. So they've definitely got some big shoes to fill from some developers that have been able to do it right. And I hope Bandai Namco can kind of keep that train going and not kind of undo what has already been established with the Killer Instinct franchise.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said. And to be fair, Centurion, I'm not like a huge fighting game like player myself either. I do have a really great relationship with KI though. I mean, I loved playing it in the arcades and whatnot, and yeah, Mortal Kombat and so on. It just again, they're not usually like it's not the genre that I really am strong with. Like I can't pick up fighting games like a lot of other people, but I do see I love watching like competitive videos of fighting games though, because those are really interesting. But yeah, with KI though, guys, like it's really exciting hearing all this stuff coming out. It sounds like both Jez and Tim have some pretty good sourcing on this, and I'm looking forward to the next few months. Hopefully, we get to hear something about an announcement soon, because, guys, KI, there's a lot of passionate people that are, really hyped for KI and want a new KI. And it would just it'd be great for it to have. The only thing I would say is I would love to see them have like a proper single player this time around. So hopefully they get that. And I can't wait. I can't wait for KI. More KI is always a good thing, and I think the chat agrees. But you know what, guys? I think on that note, we'll start closing off tonight's show. And I gotta say, fun show with the guys as we delved into some new Xbox Series console figures, Stalker 2, KI with the whole Bandai Namco thing, and some other things on top of that. And to all the fine people that joined in tonight, thanks for stopping by. Certainly don't forget to smack that like button, share this out, and to sub to the channel. Also, hit the bell to be reminded when we go live. Well, again, if YouTube decides to cooperate, YouTube kind of sucks that way. But moving over to show outros, starting with General MLD, buddy. Hey, good show tonight, my friend. Where can everybody follow you at?
Thank you. Great show. You guys can follow me on Twitter at MLD Ghost, gamer tag Ghost MLD. Always up for a chat or a game of Halo. It was a great show, some good topics here, and I'm pretty sure Xbox is going to give us even more fresh things to talk about next week. So, see you guys then.
Mm-hmm. Totally, brother. Tim Dog, buddy, really informative show tonight. Really awesome comments. Where can these lovely people find you at?
Find me on Twitter, xCloud TimDog, same as on Xbox. Every Sunday night I'll be here, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also Tuesday, RDX, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Great show, great panel. And like General MLD says, Xbox probably have some more stuff that's positive that we'll be talking about next week. So, great show, and I'll see you next week, y'all.
Good stuff, Timmy. Eric Shockley, buddy, I loved your points tonight, pal. Very informative as per usual. Where can all the listeners follow you at?
Yeah, as always, you can find me at Shock Nero on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live. But yeah, good show tonight. Glad to have everybody back from the holidays. Yeah, see you later.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. And Centurion, buddy, where can everybody follow you at, brother?
Well, gentlemen, definitely another fine show. Had a great time tonight. Great discussions. For those interested in following me, please follow me at Centurion1307 on YouTube, Xbox Live, and Twitter. You can also follow me every Saturday night on the Shop Podcast and every Sunday night on the TXR Podcast. And you guys also probably just see me just randomly gaming as much as I can when I'm not at work.
Yeah, absolutely. And to round out the panel, it's great show as per usual, guys. And all you guys, you can find my content over on YouTube at Invader Gaming. I just dropped a review for Halo Infinite a few days ago, so be sure to give that a look. I'm also on a number of different alternative media sites, and of course you can follow me on Twitter at Invader_1986. Again, thank you all for watching, and we will see you all next Sunday